Wagwan beautiful souls, I am Marsha C, the host of Her Sacred Soul Space podcast. In this safe space, we have discussions that ignite our hearts and expand our souls. This is a podcast dedicated to all women and is coined with spiritual and metaphysical aspects of evolving herself and aligning her purpose to her soul. Having a soul connection with oneself is the portal to life, and you can consider this podcast your stepping stone. There is a beautiful spark that occurs when goddesses embrace and empower each other's light, and that's what we are all about here on Her Sacred Soul Space podcast. Her Soul Connection. Look out for new episodes with Soul Gems every second and fourth Fridays. And remember, see your light, be your light. Wagwan beautiful souls, it's Marsha C, and you're tapped into Her Sacred Soul Space. As always, I am so happy to connect with you and that you are here in this space with us. My beautiful soul seekers, on this episode, I have the pleasure of vibing, the pleasure of chilling and speaking with my soul sisters. I am being joined by the lovely Tammi. Hi, Tammi.
Hi, Marsha. Natalie.
Happy to have you. Our fragrance of the circle, Natalie. Hi, Nat.
Hi everyone.
And the nucleus of our circle, Yolande. Wagwan, my friend.
Not much wagwan.
But Oh, so soul seekers, we are here to bring you into our sister circle, just to share a glimpse of us and how we connect. On this episode, my co-host Yolande are here to share with us her discovery. So welcome, ladies, again. I don't know about you soul seekers, but sometimes when I'm privy to options, the act of choosing often seems like second nature to me. It's just something that we quote unquote do. It is why it's considered normal. But yes, there is a but. What if the act of choosing also comes with an activation that opens up a power within you that allows you to see choosing as a form of sacredness? Well, much more to come right after we do our soul centering. And in order for us to get our soul centered, we're going to do 3 deep breaths. So let's all get ready to do our breaths, okay? Let's take our first deep breath. And on this breath, let's just be open to receive knowledge that will be shared with us on this episode. And release. And on the second breath, as you take this breath, set the tone that you are worthy. You are indeed worthy of receiving this knowledge. So let's do a deep breath in. And release. And on our final breath, let's just be present, and let's just be your best self. And deep breath in. And release. Understanding the power of I choose. Such a topic. I mean, come on, such a topic. It's like, oh my God. Wow. I mean, you just chose to breathe. Did you realize that? We just chose to breathe, you know? We are here at your disposal. Our ears are up and perking and ready. Tell us, how did it feel when you found this space?
I've been on this journey a very long time, but I happened to find a couple of programs that helped me to become more powerful in my choice. And so to being more powerful in my choice became I didn't know that I wasn't really choosing the things that were occurring in my space and in my life. We are programmed to be in our humanness based on the way that we were brought up, and we be with that either comfortable or uncomfortable in it until we find something that lets us know that we have a choice to choose. And so I've been doing this work since 2015, where I was first introduced to the power of choice. As simple as I can choose vanilla or chocolate ice cream. And the question was, why do I choose chocolate or vanilla? And most people would say, I like chocolate or I like vanilla. And the answer really is, I'm going to say I like vanilla. And so the answer is, I choose vanilla because I choose vanilla. I consciously choose what I choose, not just based on that I like vanilla, like I chose that. And in that, you get to also choose to be in pain or not in pain. You know, it goes the gamut. So choices are around us all day, every day. We just don't know that we get to powerfully choose whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yes. How about you, Yolande?
Well, I got really lucky to be introduced to this concept back in June, it was because my lovely Tammy, who shares all the goodies she gets with me, told me about a course she did some years ago. And I enrolled in the course and got my life shook, by this course. And it was in there that I learned this concept of choosing and recognized how powerful it was. And like Tammy was saying, it was such a counterintuitive way of choosing because we're so used to choosing something because of some effect, right? That it has on us, some feeling it provides, some kind of benefit. There's nobody really chooses something for the adverse impact to themselves, right? There's usually some benefit, right? And it was like, what? I choose it because I choose it? And I remember my brain swirling for a little bit, trying to understand what was coming at me and why am I choosing so. And I remember I was really, because we all had to say something we chose, and I said it really nonchalantly and almost resentful. I choose this because I choose it. I was like, what is the point of that? And it was the follow up seminar, Tammy. It came back up, and that's when it really hit for me because we were practicing, right? The implementing the things we learned from the first course, and that's when it really hit me that anything I'm not choosing is a choice. We can revisit that later. Not choosing is also a choice. But what if I chose it? What possibilities opened up because I did? And what really, really came home for me was to choose the thing that I resist.
And then when you said the second I choose, that's when I felt more, that's when I realized the connection of the power of I choose.
It's a very subtle concept. When you first, it takes a moment to land. Don't you think so, Tammy? That plane did not come in fast for me.
And isn't coming fast for anybody. We spent out about an hour and a half in the room getting to I choose because I choose. Everybody choose because because the sky is blue, this is that,
Yes.
she likes it,
Yes.
I like never because they choose it.
Yeah, like your example with ice cream. You liking vanilla ice cream, but you don't choose vanilla ice cream because you like it. You choose it because you choose it. You asked me how did that landed for me. I choose because I choose, and I choose the thing that I resist. At first, it was just like, I don't want to choose, something I'm resisting. I actually want to be as far away from it as possible. not choosing it and welcoming it. But and the flip side of that, once I let it settle, I realize, oh, there's actually power in choosing the thing that you resist. So that's how it landed for me. Like, not running away from it, because running away from it is still me choosing it, even though I didn't choose it. Right?
Yolanda and Tammy, this is what's coming to me now. When we actually, in the second part of the choosing, is it is it more profound because of the emotion that is now connected with that concept of I choose because I choose, that the last choosing, because it's no longer, it's not something that is fluffy. It's not because of the taste. It's because of how it makes me feel, the warmth I have inside, the joy the ice cream brings me, my childhood memories. That's just why I'm getting with the power concept. So break it down and let me know if I'm way off or I'm kind of on the right track. Come on now, ladies, do what we do.
I think it's an act of being conscious of what you're choosing. We subconsciously don't realize that we're choosing good or bad things. Like when you go and you have a thought and, oh, this is going to be negative. This is not going to happen, right? You just chose that thought. You can take that same action and choose another thought. But we don't. We unconsciously live life until you become conscious that you're making choices. So when you see your life going down the path of where you really don't want to go, you get to stop and you get to say, hey, I'm choosing this. I'm going to give you another example. I'm in another program right now. Oh, it is one of those programs where at some point I made a choice to be in it. Now I'm at resistance because they've put a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure on me these last few weeks. And I'm in my head going, you chose this. What are you getting out of this? What do you need from this? Instead of ruminating in the fact that I don't want to be here, I'm choosing every morning when I get up to be in possibility and continue on this program, even if it's not but for a second. Sometimes it is a second, it is a minute, it is an hour, it is a day. I can't commit past today because I'm severely irritated at the moment, but I'm choosing to stretch myself until I can't be stretched anymore. And if that day comes and I can't do the program anymore, I'm okay with choosing not to do the program consciously, though.
Without any ridicule within, or getting down on yourself about it. Self-doubt making you feel like you chose it because it's not the time.
To a little bit further about that, I choose because I choose puts you in the seat of creator and author of your life. Because now, like we said, it's not about the benefit. It's not about, oh, it's between these two options. I choose because I choose. Like just for a second, let's not even get into what you resist. Let's just choose the top you're wearing, Natalie and Marsha, and then say it like, I choose this, whatever the color top is, because I choose, right? And see how that sits energetically, right, within you, versus saying, I choose this black top because I like, or whatever the reason, right, other that you would have chosen. Like, just say it, yeah, right now, and just tell us what you feel.
Okay. I choose this blue top because I'm working on activating my throat chakra and it's blue. And so I'm going to say it the other way. I choose this blue top because
Okay.
I choose it.
So, what did you experience energetically, intellectually, right, between saying either?
The first, when I was explaining why I chose the black dress, and the description of it and how it fell off my shoulder, it was more of a physical this because I choose it. It makes me feel nature, I think. I was coming from a physical mindset. And when I said I choose this black dress because I choose it, or I choose still in control of the fact that I had other options. And outside of that, this was what resonated with my soul.
See how you switch from um like participating with versus creating it. It was like I choose it. But it wasn't about what it felt. It's because I chose it.
The first one, I was really like trying to explain, like in a way appeasing, versus the second one, it was my choice. Like I had, I saw the blue top and
Yeah.
I just pick a blue top and I wore it.
You know, it's the I said what I said. Right? It's the I said what I said of choice. That's what it is. You know, I choose it because I choose it. And you can use that for anything, anything. Your friendships, your job, your food, your where you choose to go, um, what you choose to watch. Um, and if you play with that, you're gonna see that it gives you a different energy and a different possibility. Because if you chose it, then you can choose something else. But you don't have the possibility of choosing something else when you're not owning your choice. Then something's happening to you, or you're being a victim in your life, or we could go down some paths, but I'm going to stop right here so Tammi can say something. Natty has her hand up.
I have a question for Tammy actually. When you first started speaking, Yolande touched on that just now, as far as when you weren't owning your choice. And you said that at the very beginning, you noticed that in your life, you were not owning your choice. You were not choosing your choice. So what was that moment like when you first had that, what we would call an aha moment? Like, holy cow, I have not been choosing my choices. What was that moment like for you?
It made me think about all the things that I had been resistant to. It made me think about how I just wasn't showing up fully for myself, how I laid blame on others for things that happened. I didn't have any accountability. So it forced me to look at my life from a broader view so that I could powerfully choose everything in my life. I remember the coming to work right after I finished the program, and I had been a stickler for everybody doing everything right because I worked with a group of guys who just weren't versed in working in the office. And so I was the mother hen and I was very protective and I would scold them like they were children. And I came back and they say, "Hey, Miss T, I bumped a car today." And I said, "Fill out the paperwork." And everybody looked at me like, "What?" I said, "Just fill out the paperwork." And they were looking for the same response, the same energy. I was choosing to be their mother all the time. I was choosing to chastise them. I was choosing to not even really value them as having their own mind, actually. And so when I got my aha moment, they got their aha moment because I no longer was showing up as the protector, the mother, the chastiser. I was really the administrator of the program only. And it was a matter of fill out the paperwork. This is not my vehicle. It will be okay. My need for control. Now, that was the biggest thing. I let it go. I didn't have to control anything or anyone except for Tammi. And that was the freeing aha moment for me. I kept on showing up. Do you know my entire office did the program based on based on my transformation? I only required the ladies in the department to do it. They went, they left. I required one lady stayed. I said, you can't work here if you don't do the program. She ended up doing it a year later, along with the other guys in the department. That was powerful for me because I didn't even, until I did the program, I didn't even know how I was showing up. I was unconscious of my way of being and the way I show up in the world and the way I occurred to people, which was, I was a bitch, y'all. I'm sorry. If you If you ask them, they would say that bitch, that little bitch. I'm 4'10" and I show up at 6 feet tall, but that little bitch, we can't, nobody would tell me, but what was going on behind me. And when I started to shift and get in my own space and my time and my continuum, it took people a long time to see that I had transformed that area of my life. And that's something I don't take lightly. I don't It is a part of me now. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2015. People have all these opinions and they're spitting them at you. I just get quiet. I have no energy for it. I don't feel that way. I don't have to argue with you about the way you feel or what you think is right versus what is wrong.
It'll take intentional action. It may be something as simple as get up every morning and choose something, right? And then try to continue that throughout the day and notice how you respond to what you choose, especially the things that don't seem favorable, because a lot of times we don't want to choose the unfavorable stuff, right? But if you choose that, then you make yourself author, creator, and then that opens up the possibility for you to choose something else. But while you're not choosing it, right? It doesn't change that whatever that is that you're in resistance of is happening to you. But the moment you choose it or take responsibility, if you want to use that word, now you have a new possibility. Because if you chose it, now you can change it. But anything else is you resisting it, it's taking up space for the possibility that is there, but you cannot see it until you choose it, right? It's like, I want to make more money, but I feel like I've maxed out my pay grade, right, on this job. But I need to make more money, right? But until you choose that you are maxed out at that pay scale, you're just going to sit there and yearn for more money. When you realize you're maxed out at that pay scale, you say, okay, I choose that I'm maxed out at this pay scale. What that does is open up a possibility that now, what do I do to get to the next level? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to change departments? Do I need, you know what I mean? Those things open up. But as long as you're sitting there just being, I want more money, you want more money and you're not addressing that you're choosing to stay at this maxed out level, the other possibilities that are there, you can't see them. You can't see them. And when you do, that's when people get up and go get certifications. That's when people get up and go back to school. That's when people, right, for that particular scenario. But you don't create those possibilities until you choose that I'm in a place that I don't want to be. So that would be something that, like, a resistance is, I need more money. I need to make more money. I'm not getting it right here. Okay, I choose that I'm not making enough money. When you choose that, whether you do it consciously, that's when you figure out how to go make more money. I'm gonna start a side gig. I'm gonna use my hobby and make extra money. That's when the choice, once you choose it, the solution comes. But as long as you're sitting there fighting it, resisting it, fighting it, resisting it, I don't want it, I don't want it, nothing changes.
We've heard the word resistance, resisting, and I know you said you're going to come back to that, and we want to have to help us to understand the concept of that, the power of resistance versus the power of I choose. How do they intertwine? How do you get, how you mix them up, as we say in Jamaica? Yeah, mix it up. You have to say this stay over here so and this stay over there so. Like, talk to us about that. Yes.
Resistance, in a way, keeps you in victim mentality, right? Choice keeps you in your power, right? Yeah.
Say that again, buddy.
Resistance keeps you in victim mentality, and choosing keeps you in your power. When we're in resistance, if you think about anything that you found yourself resisting, you're not creating. The power is in creation, is in the ability to create. It's in the ability to create possibilities, right? So as long as we are sitting there just being mad about it, not wanting it to be a certain way, not whatever form your resistance takes. I don't want to be here right now. You cannot move from there until you make a choice. We're suggesting you start at choosing where you're at, so there are possibilities beyond that can open up for you.
What I do in the mornings, and it really works, is I choose my possibilities. So I wake up and I say, today I am the possibility of being happy, hopeful, joyful, playful, in love, caring, empowering.
Yeah,
It's a possibility for me today.
I have mine on a sticky note. You can't see it because it's backwards. Mine says, who I am is a possibility of courage, love, and grace.
So when resistance shows up, I'm always at the power of choosing how much I'm going to resist, what I'm going to let go, and what I'm going to powerfully choose into. And sometimes that takes some time. I'm well versed at calling my coaches and my friends to work through something, because a lot of times when we're feeling resistance, a lot of times people just give up. But sometimes the resistance is to stretch you into another area. Because remember, either I chose it consciously or subconsciously to do something or have something occur in my life. So, with that, we get to step into powerfully being whatever we want to create. We can acknowledge the resistance. Okay, I'm choosing resistance at this moment. See how that feel in my body, you know. And a lot of times when we're in resistance, in my case, I act ugly. So, I don't like I don't like when I treat people messed up. It feels good in the moment to release, but then I have to sit with me. So if I go bad on you, I'm gonna 9 times out of 10 come back and clear the relationship. I'm gonna clear what happened with you. I'm gonna acknowledge what I said or what was done in the moment, and then we're gonna clear it up so that we can move forward. I don't want any dissension with anybody. I was having a moment. I felt this way or that way or whatever the case may be. I'm going to acknowledge it and I'm going to apologize and I'm going to ask if you want to move on from this. It's the clearing. So, resistance is always going to be in your life, especially if you think you're being slighted or someone is infringing on your space, your territory, your time. Um, and you get to powerfully choose which way you're going to go.
You could choose that too. You can choose that too. One day, I don't know what I was annoyed about, and I wrote it in because we were working through it at the time, and you had to put it in chat whatever you were choosing, and I was like, I choose upset right now, right? I choose upset, and then you get to look at it and be like, okay, so you chose it. You want to stay here? You're gonna stay here. Now, one of the ones that blew me away was one of the gals in the class had a car accident. And she says, I choose my car accident. And I chose not to go to the hospital and to go home and rest. And I was like, whoa, that, because I'm over here thinking about I choose my upset. And I thought I did something. I was like, I'm looking at her scrunched up car. And she said, I choose. And I was like, yo, and she did it like right away, like right after, took the pictures, dropped it in the group. And I was like, yo.
It makes her not. It makes her she can either be upset or be a victim in it. But when the minute she chose that, it freed her.
Yeah. So whatever level of irritation would come, or you would think, right, would come with, dang, my car is banged up. I might not be able to. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. And she was like, I'm good. I felt okay. I didn't go to the hospital. And she was off to the next thing. So much so that like we had to check back. She didn't talk about it again.
So the concept of her choosing a car accident is more of not being down on the things you can't control versus I'm choosing the car accident because I'm alive. I'm well. I'm able to walk. I'm able to talk. I didn't lose a limb, So I'm choosing that I am safe from this car accident. That's what I'm understanding.
The moment she chose that thing, like I said, she walked that thing out very differently.
She freed herself in her mind. She freed herself.
She freed herself from all the stress. That's a good word, right? And all the victim feelings or whatever that comes with that. She just handled what needed to happen next. You know what I mean? And it was fascinating to see and to watch within, because we were working a small group for that one. It was just fascinating to watch people and what they were choosing and how they were navigating through these things that ordinarily would be, things that stop you or, take up so much space. That was the other thing. Once you choose it, then it doesn't occupy the space it did, and it opens up the space for something else.
Such as blessings?
Such as blessings, and we like use the word possibilities. Other options.
Somebody volunteered to loan her a car, as she go through this process. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, we could call the committee and just throw a pity party.
It was
Yeah.
It's a very counterintuitive concept, but when it lands and that plane comes in slow, but it's like, wow, this thing actually works. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Would it be the same as the concept as you create your own reality concept? Would that be
as sex students, Tammy and I, that's a resounding what, Tammy? Yes.
Yes. You get to create the life that you want to live powerfully from your choices. You can choose to, some people just escape life in so many different ways because they never make a powerful choice about grief, about living, people just don't know how to make a powerful choice because we always think that we're at the mercy of outside forces. Everything that we need is within us. That's why we get to create the world that we want to live. But you can't do that if you're not choosing. If you just letting somebody else make the choices for you, or you're watching the news every day and you're being influenced by fear, that's what you're going to live. But if you remove yourself out of the element or the environment that is causing you to not be in possibility, not think about different avenues and ways of being, then you're at the mercy of others. Always.
Yeah, always. Always.
I would say choosing to be in fear and listening to the news and choosing to stay small. These are all choices that we are making, but we're just not admitting that we are making those choices.
That's part of that. Not choosing is also a choice, right? And one of the things I want to challenge us on is a lot of times when we're thinking about choosing, we're thinking about external, like some external things. Like we tried the whole, something on your body, right? Your dress, your shirt, right? Something external and physical, right? When we start choosing our feelings and our emotions, that's when I feel we also tap into another level of power within ourselves. Like I choose my heartache. I choose my upset. I choose being pissed off in this moment, right? When you start choosing even the emotional state that you're in, yeah, that part right there, because that was in a way when she chose her accident, she also got to choose what state she wanted to be in about that. You know what I mean? With the lady from my class. So when you tap in, like let's say, I don't know, let's get a real world situation. Your boss pisses you off tomorrow, right? You can either choose the boss or you can choose the feeling that you're in about what they said. Like you could dig down to those levels and watch your states change. Because what you gonna do? You gonna sit in that upset all day? Like your own your subconscious is gonna come. So you're just gonna sit here choosing this. You're gonna be here all day. What you gonna do, right? you you realize you start having a different conversation with yourself once you choose it. You a different conversation starts internally about it. Yeah.
I was having this experience at work where what I do, it seems easy, but the cost of making a mistake, mistakes are costly. They can cost the company a lot. They can cost somebody not to move into their home when they're supposed to. Like a simple thing as overlooking the position of a garage could be a big deal. But when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, let's just go back and change that. But in the big picture, it's a big deal. So there are people like when things come to, go to the designers, if there's a mistake or something they don't understand or they need clarification on, they would email us and ask us to clarify. Then we would reach out to sales and find out, get clarification. But every time the emails come and I see this person's name, and I would just get like, oh my God, what is it now? Like I would choose this irritation. I would choose this anxiety, like, oh my God, what mistake did I make now? And I remember the day when I didn't word it that way, but I chose something different. I chose that this may or may not have anything to do with me. It may just be like I would get irritated or anxious before I even open the email. Just her name would get me anxious. And now when I chose to just open the email, read it, and if there's something that needs to be corrected, correct it and then move on instead of feeling anxious. And I felt such peace, and choosing not to be irritated, not to be overly anxious. And the power of that choice, I felt peace in that.
They can choose their anger. And then that will, open up the possibility of, well, do I want to stay here? Is usually what happens, right? I choose my anger because I choose my anger. And you can stew in that if you want to. But like I said, once you, especially when I feel, right, Tammy, for me, I feel like when I say it out loud, right? It's like when I hear myself say it, especially if it's a state I don't desire, it like forces me to do something different. It like hits me in the gut. It hits me in the stomach. Like, you really want to choose that? You know what I mean? That's where you want to be.
But we also need to get to the place where being okay with choosing your anger or choosing your upset. You cannot be happy 100% of the time. You just don't have to stay in the anger. That is an emotion. You need to be able to express that in a healthy way to get that up out of your body. Do you know how many humans are walking around here with stuffed down in every cell of their body because they've never screamed, hollered, punched a wall, punched a pillow? You have to experience all of your emotions. We're not saying that choosing your anger is wrong. We just saying you need to choose it and be in it and process it in a healthy way.
Tammy, while you said that, something happened to me recently. Well, the day my cousin died, a few weeks back, and I chose grief. And I remember feeling it. And I was, another cousin died last year, and I put that thing off for about 3 weeks. And this time I decided I would choose it right away. And I put it in the chat because, we were working through the course at the time. And I put in there, I choose grief. And I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to allow it to be like accepted that it was real. And I was able to move through it easier, right? It still hurt, but I wasn't carrying it in the back of my mind for 3 weeks, trying not to deal with it, right? Like I did last year, right? It took me several weeks to call my that cousin's sister because I didn't want to talk about it. Took 3 weeks for me to speak to her. I said, I'm not doing that this time. And she was one of the people I spoke to that day. But I addressed all of it that moment. As soon as I could, I chose it. I said, I choose grief. And I allowed myself to feel the feels. I allowed myself to cry about it. I didn't try to dismiss it or, I want to be in disbelief or denial. I just chose it. And I was able to navigate through it a little bit. And I took my time. I remember I dropped it in y'all's chat that this happened. And because last year, I think when my cousin died, I didn't even say anything to any of you for a while. That's what choice did for me this time.
Yeah. I see the sacredness of the power of I choose also is a way of you keeping pieces of your soul within you versus you giving it away to the thing or that person, you know? Yeah. So that's another way of looking at it because when you are now connected back with who you are, you have to go and search to find back those pieces to bring back to you. And that in itself is just a bloody hard task. I mean, I'm speaking from experience. And sometimes, you don't even recognize some people who have pieces of your soul until something hits you. Like you find yourself like in a position where, why does this make me feel this way? I don't know the person, but being around this person give me this feeling. And then when you go back, you recognize it's all connected to something that occurred in your childhood. And that person that it occurred with, you did not expect it to have a piece of your soul because they had no significance to you whatsoever. The fact that you keep pieces of your soul and you don't have to go and search for it from no one, it's still yours. Yes. This has been as such an epic soul connection. Soul connection. And I really hope that you soul seekers have received so much knowledge and wisdom from both Tammy and Yolande as Natalie and I have. This has just been awesome. This is something that you want to bag it up, put in your freezer so you could pop it out again and just use it, all this good juices, knowledges. No, really, really and truly, the power of I choose. Step into the sacredness of it. I recently picked up a devotional that I've been doing, and it's called The Altar Within, and it's by Juliet Diaz. And there is a quote she has on the back, and I just want to share with you before we close out this episode. And it states, she remembered who she was, and without mercy, she destroyed everything that ever made her feel like she wasn't whole. That's the power of I choose. The power of I choose destroys everything that has ever made you feel like you weren't whole. Choose. Make your choice today. You have the power, the ability. We love you. We love you. We love you. And Tammi and Yolande, thank you so much for joining us in this episode. And of course, Natalie, my co-host, I'm so happy that you are here today. And until we meet again, beautiful soul seekers, one love.
What good?
Alrighty. Bye.
Namaste.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I would be honored if you could share this episode with a friend, subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to join us every second and fourth Fridays for another exciting episode of Her Sacred Soul Space podcast. I'd love to hear your comments. You can always find me on Facebook or YouTube as Her Sacred Soul Space. Until then, one love, and don't forget, see your light, be your light. Magan.